All right, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Tanya Smith, and it is Stream Like a Boss TV. This is our night. Thursdays is when we come and we talk a little bit about how to leverage live streaming to help you to serve more people, stand out online, and sell more of your services. And I am super excited that I get a chance to introduce to you tonight one of my favorite people, my mentor and a friend, Melanie Benson. So I cannot wait for you to meet her. We're going to talk a little bit about something called a lighthouse message and how you can really adopt such a thing. She's going to share with you her special formula, her secret sauce to creating and adopting a lighthouse message so that you can attract the people who you're meant to work with when it comes to the online space and offline too. Hey, I'm seeing some folks that are in the comments. You know what to do. If this is your very first time, you haven't been here on the show before, then I want you to type in a hashtag newbie. And if you have been here, if you part of the family, if you just watched us once, you're now part of the family. And so you want to type in hashtag OG. Super excited and thrilled either way that you're here. I see some OGs already. I see my friend Saeed from Germany. It's 2 a.m. in the morning. So thank you for coming. Dan Roth, I love that you popped in to say hi, even though it's your girl's first night of school or first day of school. And I'm seeing Bob Sparkins in the house too. This is awesome. So look, y'all, I got to get on over here so that you get a chance to meet Melanie, because this is not about me, but it's about you. And I know that you're going to learn a lot from her. I'll have her introduce herself a little bit more in just a second. But right now, I want to encourage you to go ahead and grab your notepad and your pen, because you're going to want to take notes tonight. I promise you. And on the other side of this video, we'll see you right there. Grab your favorite drink. So whatever your cup of hydration might be, I've got my green tea here. You got your water or your whatever you drink at this time of day or night. But I want you to make sure you have that notepad and pen. So I'm giving you a couple of seconds to do that. And on the other side of this video, you get to meet the Melanie Benson. Okay? All right. Well, I want to welcome you to the show. I'm super thrilled, Melody.
I love it. I love it. And oh my gosh, seeing Bob Sparkins in the comments. Love it, man. I just ran across a picture from way, way back with Bob in it.
Oh my
How
God.
fun. Hey, Bob.
So you know Bob too. Okay, Bob and
Yeah.
I go way, way back. Bob was one of my
Yeah.
first coaches ever.
Yeah.
That's darn near 20 years ago, Bob.
That's OG. That's totally OG. Yeah, I think we have some very what we might say undesirable pictures of us being really silly at some event in Florida somewhere. But yes, we've been around the block a few times.
She might pull those up, Bob. So just, since you're going to be here, you might end up having to see something. I don't know. We're going to
Share
see.
screen. Yeah. And thank you, Dan. What a wonderful compliment. I feel very, very, yeah. Bob says he's known me even longer. Well, I
Here,
love
I'm
it.
going to pop some of these up on screen. Let's talk to a few people, and then I want to definitely give you time to introduce yourself. Dan, I know you're in the house with probably lots of gifts. And Saeed, from Germany, and it was Friday, or it is Friday at 2 in the morning. I appreciate you taking the time to be here. I really, truly do. You always add such value in the comments. There's Bob. Hard to believe.
Thanks,
It has
Bob.
been over 10 years. It's true. It's true. Gabe, what's up in the house? Love it, love it, love it. He says he has a notepad and crayons, Melanie, to take
Nice.
notes.
Nice. Rainbow markers. Come on.
All of that, all of that. Oh, thank you. She is incredibly special, and I think you're going to learn a lot from her. I do.
Nice to meet you, Dan. Nice to meet you, Michelle, I think it was. And who else was it? Saeed.
Yep. Gabe is in the house. There's several folks that are here with us, and Most everyone knows to comment because they know since this is live, we're going to be chatting with them. This is not just talking at them. Can you share a little bit about yourself, Melanie, so that people get to know you like I get to know you? And if there's one thing that's not officially in your bio that you want to share, you're more than welcome to share that.
All right, I gotta think what that might be. Well, I'm Melanie Benson. I'm known as an authority amplifier. And since I started my business in the year 2000, I have been helping expert-based entrepreneurs amplify their impact and exponentially grow their income. I'm the host of a very fun show called Amplify Your Success podcast. We've made it into the top 1.5% according to Listen Notes. So I feel very honored for all of our loyal listeners out there. And Tanya's going to be coming up on that real soon. So you have to make sure to tune in. My specialty is helping people who have this amazing expertise, who feel too much like a best kept secret, stand out in their crowded market with what we call a lighthouse message, so that you are developing buzz and momentum and all kinds of awesome energy with your audience. But essentially, you want to monetize that visibility and turn it into paying clients, high value clients that can't wait to say yes. So that's my specialty. That's what I do. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And the one thing that's probably not in my legit bio that you probably want to know is I have a closet desire to be a paleo chef and have my own paleo TV show.
What?
Maybe keto. I might be shifting to keto, but yeah, I have this obsession with healthy eating, and I don't like to eat crappy food. Like, I don't like that. Like, oh, I had to give up all this yummy food to eat healthy. So I have this obsession with finding really awesome recipes and trying to convert the rest of my family to eating healthy with me, so I make it taste good.
You know what? If you figure that formula out, can you let me know? Because
Yes.
every time I tell my kids, hey, I'm doing, and I don't do diets, but I do eat healthy. I want to do this Mediterranean, food thing. I want to do these
Yeah.
recipes. They're like, Mom, if it sounds healthy, it's gross. Like, it doesn't taste.
Well, they're trapped. They don't want to cook, so they literally just have to eat whatever I make. And normally it works out pretty good.
That's the way to do it. I think that's the secret sauce. Let me see. I've got a couple of comments where people are saying hello. Yeah, Gabe, no, you are legit. You are legit. And Melanie is definitely going to be
Oh,
adding some flavor. Jen Hardy, I love
oh my
you.
gosh. Nice
It's
to see you showing up in the stream.
She is an amazing woman, definitely. Congratulations. That's awesome, Melanie. She's speaking to what you were talking about earlier about what's going on. You haven't even told them the big thing that's going on, but we'll get to that for sure
Yeah.
tonight because you've got some stuff happening.
Yep.
Let's see. Tell them it's a TikTok challenge. I know, right? That's probably the only way I can get my kids to do that. So, all righty, folks. I am going to dive into a couple of questions because one of the things that Melanie has spoken to me about as my personal coach and mentor for some time, you talked about this and you just mentioned the word amplify. And the name of this or the title of this particular show has to do with this lighthouse message. Can you tell me a little bit about how did that influence the way that you coach and the way that you work with people? What was the challenge that you were hearing from your clients and from others that made you say, hey, I got to put something around this so that they really get it?
So are we talking about being in an amplifier or being a lighthouse or both?
Let's talk a little bit about Amplifier first, because that's
Okay.
how I got connected to you.
Yes,
But
that's
then I
true.
definitely
Way,
want
way
to,
back.
yeah, let's talk
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, so it's kind of a funny story. Like, early on in my career, I realized that one of my superpowers was optimizing. Like, I could optimize somebody's business model, I could optimize their offer, I could optimize their mind, and I could help them achieve goals and outcomes and financial growth that they never believed was possible. But as I was evolving and growing and kind of like finding more of my true voice, my superpower, which I think when you're in business for a long time, like, if you guys resonate with this, let me know. Like, especially those of you that have been around for a while, do you find that you evolve and like who you're becoming, your work shifts with it? Well, when I was going through a big shift and an evolution, I realized like that felt very masculine to me. And even though it was my superpower, I wanted a way that really captured more of my true essence of what I did. And so that's where Amplify came from. It felt effortless. It felt energetically expansive. And it felt like it really captured what I do, which is take something that's amazing, but amplify the reach of it. And I think that's what really became my lighthouse, my principle of what is it that I do well, and how do I continue to kind of expand the reach of it. And the authority piece emerged quite accidentally. When I was researching, I was going through some research for different clients because I knew they were experts, but they were invisible in the marketplace. And I was trying to figure out what was missing. And one day, I was actually hiring a copywriter and I was interviewing all these different copywriters. And something really interesting happened. I had gotten on a consultation call with this woman, and we were talking, and her fees came up, and I was like, I'm out. Like it was a really big ask. And she just hadn't drawn me in. She hadn't positioned like the value of it or anything. And I went ahead and hired somebody else. And I started to look at what was the distinction. What was the moment that I knew one was a no, one was a yes? Because I actually spent more money on the copywriter that I hired. And I realized it's about authority. This person had not embodied her authority. She was not able to really articulate the value she was able to bring to me. She couldn't demonstrate results. She didn't have any kind of brand presence that shouted out like what her like or even demonstrated like what it was that she was good at. And I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have confidence, trust, and she didn't like exude credibility. And I've discovered like in all of my ups and downs, and being in business 24 years, you have a lot of those roller coaster moments. What sets people apart is the perceived authority that the buying audience has. Do they perceive you as someone that can deliver results or not? And it's not just what we put out on the outside, Tanya, as I know you know, it's also the confidence and the clarity we have about our own value, and have we embodied our authority at the level where we're like, yeah, I do this. And
Yeah.
how we message that is a way of amplifying that clarity out into the world. So that's where the authority piece came from. And I just noticed like when people recognize your authority, even if you're like, I don't need to be an authority, it's not about whether you need to be an authority. It's about whether people perceive you as an authority. And
That's
it
right.
just gives you an advantage in a very crowded market.
I think this is so important, and I'm glad that we're talking about this. I have a lot of different topics that we talk about on the show, but this season I wanted to focus more in the coaching realm. I wanted to focus more on mindset and on business growth and building, because it is more about just showing up, more than about just showing up and doing content. It totally is about the amplification, amplifying your message and being the authority in your field. And one of the reasons why I was attracted to your particular program, Melanie, and I'm not doing a big sales pitch, but I'm saying this is the truth. The truth is, I was feeling at some point, as you know, a bit convoluted. I was feeling a little torn. Like there were all these different paths that people wanted me to be, taking. And there was a specific path that really was the one I needed to take and I wanted to take, but I was torn listening to other people. So I love that working with you helped me to identify more clearly that I can embrace that thing that I said I wanted to be an expert in, regardless of what other people were suggesting. I knew in my heart of hearts what I really was a specialist at. So thank you
Mhm.
for helping to pull that out. Authority
Yeah,
amplifier. Love it.
you are welcome. Yeah, and I think that we all have so many things we're good at, right? Like, and we have like then we have the things that we're passionate about and interested in and we're learning. And there's a huge difference between what we are an authority in, what we're an expert in, and what we're interested in. And they don't all have to end up in our offers. And I think in today's marketplace, and I know you see this too, and I'm curious if you're listening in right now, if you're seeing this as well, like there is a real need to stand out. First of all, let's face it, a lot of people sound a lot alike, right? It's like a lot of
Yeah.
people do similar things, especially when you kind of add coach or mentor or course creator into the mix. And then we have a lot of people who are not really clear whether they need a mentor or a coach or a trainer. And so anytime we can really lean into a specialization and we can look at that specialization as the front door to our castle of all the things we can do later, but learning like what is that specialization, what is that unique thing that really meets the market at what they're craving and what they're desiring, what they're searching for, then we've got something magical. And that's what's the foundation of that lighthouse message.
That is beautiful. And I think that it is resonating with some folks because I'm seeing a couple of comments here. This is so intensely on target, and hearing it aloud hits hard. That's good. Sue Ann, I love that you're feeling that connection to what's being shared. And Bob said, this is particularly true for accidental experts who have a hard time recognizing just how brilliant their skill set is. Yeah.
And how valuable their solution is to the people who need it.
Yeah.
Like we do our thing all the time, right,
All the
Tanya? Like,
time.
oh yeah, like, oh, I could do that in my sleep. And like I worked with so many people who kind of discount the extraordinary value that they have to bring to their offer. Can I share a quick story on that?
Yeah.
I just want to
Please.
honor our time, but sometimes like stories pop in. And I was working with a client for the last couple of years, and he found me on a podcast. He was following the breadcrumbs that he was looking for solutions, found me on a podcast, and he came to me and he said, like, I think I have imposter syndrome. And I'm like, okay, tell me more. And we talked a little bit. I mean, by the way, by the time he had binged my podcast for 3 days straight after he found me and signed up for every single free thing that I offered on my podcast, he was already sold on working with me. This was just almost like a, hey, let's flush some things out kind of thing, which is where that authority comes in handy. And he literally said to me, he said, I just feel like I don't know what my real value is anymore. Now let's back up. This guy was an in-demand expert in his space. He had no shortage of clients, but something felt off to him. And so going to Bob's point there, he had all of this expertise, but he didn't have it packaged well. And it was really fun to work with him because we got him on podcasts as part of it. I got him to write a book, which was part of his kind of repositioning. But what was really magical was taking him through what I do, this heck yes offer creation. And I optimized, I guess you might say, his offer. And we doubled what it was he was charging for it without changing anything in the delivery. And what happened was like so magical. So and by doing that and then recognizing, oh my gosh, my same clients are willing to pay almost double for what it is that I do. They're not blinking an eye. They're not balking at it. They're saying yes. And I'm getting new clients at that plus, because we also gave them another tier offer. And instead of feeling like an imposter, what started to happen was he started to own his authority. He started to recognize how much value he brought because he was making $1 million plus for his clients, but not charging in
For
accordance
himself.
with that value. Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Well, tell me a little bit. Let's tie this into the whole topic that we're talking about tonight
yeah.
regarding this lighthouse message thing. So, how does this idea of having a lighthouse message, first of all, what is it? Because I'll tell you, I was instantly attracted to the term. When you used it, I
Yeah.
was like, oh, yeah, I want to be that. I want to be a beacon. I want to be a lighthouse attracting people. So, what does that mean to you, and how does that fit into this whole world of yours where you talk about amplifying your audience or your message, rather?
Yeah, and I think you did a great job of setting up what a lighthouse message is. And if you think about a lighthouse, it shines a really bright light. And that light can be seen, all around. and for miles. And I think when we're in a very crowded market, that's what I see the difference between the people that have buzz and momentum and are attracting lots of clients and people who feel like things are stale, they're getting passed over, they're not being invited to podcasts and stages, like people don't really get what they do. And that is their message is what we call kind of blah and generic. It sounds like everybody else. And oftentimes this is because when we see through the lens of this is what I do, we literally look at our offer and say, "Oh, people should get what I do." But when we think about it from the lens of what is it that my audience like needs to hear to get them from being interested to being intrigued and invested in something, which is what I call as my golden thread. Oh my gosh, this is what causes people to move into action. And that's a message that is compelling and it's like pulls them in. Uh, there was this moment when I was speaking at a live event many, many years ago, and I had done a pre-event masterclass, you might call it. Like it was just like a get to know the speakers teleseminar back in the OG before we even had Zoom. And this woman, when I was at the event, I was getting off the elevator and she was like right in front of me and she said, "Oh my God, are you Melanie Benson?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "I'm here because I heard you talk about this thing." And she's like, "I literally felt like you had been in my head with me, spying on me, and you knew exactly what was happening in my life.
Right.
And I need this." That's a lighthouse message. Somebody hears that relevant like juicy thing that they're struggling with or desiring, and they feel like you've been spying on them. And it pulls them into you and it makes them trust you more. It builds this resonance. It helps you become well known for your unique approach or your expertise. It gets influencers reaching out to you, inviting you to stages and podcasts because you're not a best kept secret. You're seen and recognized for what it is that you do.
Right.
And ultimately, these lighthouse messages are helping people recognize this is what you do. This is why we come to you. This is what I have to offer. And this is the trail that we're going to, or the journey we're going to go on. This is what we where we start.
I think that this is brilliant. I think it's especially brilliant right now in this time because just the other day I was having a talk with someone, and I do want to pull up a couple of just amazing and brilliant comments from folks that are watching and listening. But I remember having this conversation recently. We were talking about how everybody's social media posts look exactly the same right now because AI, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people are not tweaking and adding their own value, their own brilliance, their own personality. And I made a decision recently that, you know what, I'm going to pull back a little bit from AI myself and start writing on a more personal level because of everything that you're saying, because we do need to show people who we are uniquely, because everybody is meant to be a beacon or a lighthouse for someone.
Yes.
So I want to pull some comments up because I see a couple of things. Greetings and salutations. David Hunt, who says this: I have discounted myself for too long.
I feel you.
David, Lighthouse, this is for you.
Mhm.
Yep. And Bob said for the person that you were talking about, he was probably attracting the wrong people energetically too.
Yeah. That's a really interesting point because when we're devaluing our work or not acknowledging the value of what we are delivering to our clients, we energetically oftentimes attract people who meet us at the discounted value level, which means those clients are usually harder, they're more difficult, they have higher expectations. There's a whole thing about when we're attracting clients who are not necessarily at the caliber that we really could be serving. So yes, I agree, Bob.
And then Saeed said, guilty as charged. I often forget how mind blowing the things I can do and teach are for others. Yes, because it feels so simple to
Yes.
you and you're already bored by
Yeah.
them.
I heard a
So,
great saying. Can I just share something on this really fast? I heard a great
yeah,
saying that stuck with me. I heard it like 16, 17 years ago, and that is entrepreneurs are really renowned for getting bored with the thing they do just as it's starting to peak in its awareness. And so the saying was like, just because you're bored with it doesn't mean you should stop doing it.
yeah,
It just means you need to maybe shift how you are with it, right? So yeah, and that's a big part of like the lighthouse message is when you really get a lighthouse message in place, you're going to think, "Oh my God, everybody and their brother has heard this. Why am I still doing it?" But here's what's happening. So I'm 3 years in now teaching this particular vein of the lighthouse message. There are people I have known for 15 years who are enrolling in a masterclass that's about to happen. They've been hearing about it for 3 years. Now they're like, I'm in, like, I'm ready. Like, this is what I need. I've been resisting too long, right? So
yeah,
sometimes it's the repetition that builds the credibility. It establishes your authority because you're not being a fly by night. You're not chasing the next trend. You're
yeah.
stable, you're trusted, and your expertise shines through because you are building momentum with your work.
It's funny you say that because I had a person that actually reached out to me 2 weeks ago. And she said, I've been following you. I've been watching you. I pay attention to what you do and what you say. And I feel like you're the right person for me now. I'm in the right moment to work with you now. She said, I've seen how sincere you are and how committed and consistent you've been. She's been following for a long time.
Mm.
I didn't even know her. I didn't know she was watching. I haven't seen her in any of my comments or chat or any of that stuff. But people do pay attention to your consistency and to how you're showing up regularly. So I think that is absolutely a point that I agree with.
Yeah. Don't get me started on consistency. You know my you know my consistency principles.
I do. I do. Got any tips on packaging services or on pricing your value? Is this something that you'll get into a little bit high level or
um
maybe in your master class,
Maybe.
possibly?
Yeah, I'm definitely getting into this in masterclass, and I have some resources on this. I would just say this, you know, you're not pricing it for you. You're pricing your products and programs based on the value for your ideal client. And if you try to price things based on what you would pay for something, you will always undercharge.
Mm, mm. Hold on. Wait, I need to do a gold. in, ca- in case
I
y'all
love
missed
that.
it, come back and listen to this part, this little
Mm,
bookmark part that I'm going to put up in the chapters. Yeah, because that's gold.
yeah.
Wow. Okay, here's a couple more comments and then let's get to another question. Bob says, be excited to see the impact on others. As a coach, it is not. He just reiterated what you said. It's not about us, it's about them. Yep. And Sue Ann said, I had a client who every time we were at the tipping point, for him to go big, he would switch gears.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little bit more of what Gay Hendricks refers to as your upper limit. So that's a little bit of a mindset issue there.
Well, I want to ask you, what do you believe are some of the biggest challenges that coaches and other entrepreneurs, because we've got a good mix here, but I know you have a pretty good versatile mix yourself. Having been in one of your programs, I know we were slightly different in what we did. How does the Lighthouse message address the challenges that some of your clients have?
Well, there's a couple key things that I think I specialize in and I see as a trending issue in the communities I serve and the clients I work with. And one is this idea of feeling invisible, even though you know you're an expert. And I think the challenge that goes with it is like twofold. One, and I don't know, as you're listening in, give me a little shout out if you are this way. I think a lot of people who are very passionate and impact driven don't really love marketing. So marketing's not really what they would call their superpower. It's not where their creativity lights up. And so this may not be you all because you're Tanya's community, and she's probably fed you a lot of great resources here. But I know my clients, they tend to go, I don't really like marketing. And alongside that, the message that they have crafted and they're using to articulate their value to the world is really clear to them and totally not clear to their ideal client. As a matter of fact, when their ideal clients hear it, they're like, huh, that's nice, but it's not an action, a momentum builder. It's like, yeah, maybe someday. That's not what we want. We need messaging that moves people into action, that gets them saying, I got to do something about this. And I got to do it with Tanya, or I got to do it with Dan, or I got to do it with Bob, or Sue Ann, or whoever it is, because they recognize that you are the authority. The valuable solution is right there. So I love marketing. Yay. So I think you could love marketing and you could still not have a great message. And one of the things that I find is the way messaging is crafted, Tanya, is evolving. So what used to be maybe kind of intriguing and would pull people in isn't really producing the same kind of results right now.
That's
So we have
true.
a lot of, we have a lot of places we can put our message out. We can put it out through email. Well, if you follow along in email marketing, you know that there's a lot of things that no longer perform well in email deliverability. We have a lot of hackers and spammers who've kind of messed up the algorithms. And so what used to perform well now has to be massaged, and there's different strategies that work better. When you're thinking about social media, well, if you don't want to sound like everybody else, you've got to test some different things. Some people respond well to those short, punchy color blocks, and some people love, and you're going to move people into action with long story posts. But if your story doesn't make sense and is not drawing into like your ideal client, they're going to be like, way too long, boring, I'm out. But the most important place, I'm curious, as you're listening in, who here is actively being a guest expert on live streams like this, on podcasts, on virtual stages, anywhere where you might be able to be interviewed by somebody? This
If
is where
you're doing that, if you're being a guest, I want you to type in a 1. If
okay,
you haven't
good,
yet been a guest on anyone's podcast, live stream, etc., type in a 2. So a 1
good way to
if
know.
you have, and if you're doing this actively, and a 2 if you are still kind of holding yourself back. I'm just curious. I think that's a good poll, Melanie,
And,
to find out.
either way, it's okay because podcasts are still an emerging marketplace. There's a lot of um, opportunity here that's still like being cultivated. So this is what I consider where you have a competitive advantage to lean into this opportunity. 1.5. Good. Okay. I have a follow-up question on that in a second. But when you're on a podcast, do you see a revenue result from your exposure? So are you seeing a direct correlation between you being interviewed and getting leads, raising their hand, and either buying from you on demand, whatever you have online, or booking a consultation and getting into your calendar and buying from you? This
So
is the monetization part.
if you're
So
seeing money, if you're
put a
seeing
3.
money from your podcast, your live streams, type in, I don't know, type in a fire emoji.
Yeah, yes, being a guest, not marketing anything. Okay. Well,
Okay.
and that some people aren't on a guest to monetize, but a lot of my clients are. They want to see a direct correlation to clients, to more opportunities emerging, to partnerships
Yeah.
being coalesced. And so that topic, that lighthouse message, because podcasts are growing at the speed of light, and Tanya, you and I have talked about this, we get pitched so much. We get like 100 pitches coming in my inbox, and that's just my inbox. That's not my assistant's inbox, every month, sometimes every week. And so what happens? Delete, delete, delete. I don't have
Right.
time. I'm not looking at them. My guest manager does. And you know what stands out? A lighthouse message. Relevant, specific. It's like juicy, it's compelling, it like showcases the expertise well, it's well thought out. It's like, oh yeah, I know this audience. I know what they're going to want. I'm going to get my lighthouse message in front of this host because I think this is a great fit. Now, this is like pitching aside, like there's a whole art to pitching that we won't get into today, but this actually is so key for not just getting people to listen to you, but getting people to trust you, getting people to connect with you, getting people to bond with you where you become the top of mind solution when they're ready to take action. I've literally had people who heard my topic, Tanya, and they come back weeks later and they go, I seem to remember you do this talk about blah, blah, blah. Could you do it on my stage? Or
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm ready to do this now. So that's where I see the dots starting to connect. The lighthouse message being amplified through the right audiences, the right streams, the right, I call them $1 million visibility streams, the right
Mm-hmm.
platforms where your audience is looking for solutions.
And when you're clear on what that message is, it's easier for you to really not only have other people reach out to you for opportunities, but you can more clearly and succinctly decide which opportunities are the right ones versus the ones
Mhm.
that are not. And you know, we've had that talk too.
We've
You had
had
to
that
kind of
talk.
you had to counsel me a little bit on that one.
Yeah, so I have a little formula, and I'll just share it with you all, and you can write this down. This is a writer downer, as a friend of mine always used to say. Right message, right audience equals right results. Your audience doesn't have to be my audience. Your
Say
audience
that
is
one
your
more
audience.
time, Melanie. Say it one more time for
Right
me.
message, so we should say lighthouse message, but right message in front of the right audience gets you the right results. And it breaks my heart when I see really talented people saying, I have been doing this podcast guesting thing, Melanie, and I'm over it. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not making it a priority. It's not working for me. Like I put so much time and energy, or I paid for this $10,000 booking agency and I got nothing out of it. And I want to, it's like my heart just breaks because it was not the right message. And I guarantee it was not the right audiences. And that's why they weren't seeing the right results. So you get that formula really dialed in. That's what starts to build your business. That's what starts to get you on the map. And this is what starts to make you relevant in a sea of sameness. You need to be relevant. You need to have that light shine bright and let people see it.
I love it. Look, confetti love. That's a beautiful point. I'm going to pop up a couple of comments. I think there was a question in there too. Um, we got people answering earlier. Yeah. Let's see. A love of marketing is not the same as producing a clear message that converts. Absolutely. Here's a
Yeah.
question from Sue Ann for you.
Mhm.
She markets the heck out of other people. What is with that? She can do it for
Oh,
them.
yeah. So what is up with that, Sue Ann? I think I mean I could diagnose, I could explore that. I mean, I think what happens a lot of times is we're givers, and it's so much easier to showcase and like stand behind someone else's brand that we really love.
Yeah.
And I would say there's probably one or two things going on when we're not giving that energy to ourselves. Number one is you actually don't have absolute confidence and clarity about your value. And so you don't have your whole, what I call your authority accelerator in place. Like you don't know what your authority in, you don't really know what your specialty is. I actually am working with somebody right now, super well known, been in the business as long as I have, but she's going through a pivot. She's going through a brand shift. She's evolving. She's like, I don't know what I am anymore.
Yeah.
And so she's been holding back. So that's one possibility. But the other possibility is you may just not really have like the mindset of, I want to grow me. You might have some hidden conflict about growing or being seen in a bigger way. And we're not even getting into that today, Tanya, but visibility blocks are a real thing. Like sometimes we have some unresolved mindset stuff around being
True.
seen. We feel like an imposter. We're worried about what might happen if I get bigger and I attract more clients. Sometimes we have these invisible contracts to be small that we have to address and allow ourselves to be able to grow.
Yes. Yes, all of that. A lot of this goes back to mindset. A lot of it does. I know we have at least one more thing that I want to definitely address with you before we get ready to wrap. Yeah, I agree, Erica. It can be way easier to advertise because you don't have much skin in the game, honestly. Great content. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, thank you,
Thanks,
thank you, thank you.
Stephen.
Bob says that any exposure should at least be lead generation of your ideal customers. Yeah.
Yeah. I think if you're so there's a term I use, and I don't mean this offensive in any way, but it's called soft pedaling. And it's like when we're soft pedaling, we're just kind of like doing fun stuff. We're just, like, hey,
Yeah.
I just love this concept. I want to talk about it. And there's nothing wrong with that. And it's really easy to do that when your income source comes from somewhere else.
Yes.
If your income is dependent on you growing this business and you making sure this thing works, you cannot soft pedal it. You definitely, I need you to get off my toes. I'm on your toes for a reason because I want you to be successful. And here's the bottom line. You cannot impact the level you want to make if you don't get your lighthouse message dialed in, if you don't know what your value is and have an offer that is so easy to sell around it, if you don't have a way to move people from searching for solutions to seeing you and choosing you, like all of that is so figure outable, and it is a system. And it does sometimes require a little bit of focus and a commitment. Tanya did a 12-week commitment to dial all that in. And it was arduous at times, but I know you had a really great outcome in the end. And I think that sometimes we shy away from it because we're a little, oh, I'll just figure it out on my own.
Yes. But that is not the way.
Well,
At
it's
some
not
point, you,
working. If it's,
yeah, it
yeah,
doesn't work because you get tired of hitting your head against a brick wall saying, okay, come on out now. Come on, ideas. Like, come on, answers. And when you have a coach, you have someone that you can really talk to that's going to be honest with you, even when you're not being honest with yourself. And they will see the blind spots. And that is why I decided, let me just go ahead and do this. Because, for a minute I was like, no, I'm just going to keep on doing what I'm doing. But it
yeah.
was super transformational for me, Melanie. And I think all the things that you're saying tonight, it's not just about you saying these things, it is truly about you model this behavior and the people that you help model that too. They show the results. I have truly become a different person now that I've finally embraced my message and what I really, really know I'm great at. And that
Yeah.
was something that took time. So,
There's a direct line between clarity and cash. And that clarity has to be in place if you want to increase cash, clients, competence, any of the other
all the C
confidence, right?
words.
All the other things. And again, I'm not attached to whether or not people do programs that like I offer, but what I am attached to is you getting your value out in the world in the biggest way possible and allowing the things that are blocking you to dissolve it. And if you're one of our fellow compadres in the cohort this last time when Tanya was with me, brilliant guy, super successful. And he just didn't have his message dialed in. And literally, like, getting the message dialed in shifted things for him.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of feeling like he was lost and all over the place, he started to go, oh, I now see why I have all this brilliance, but people aren't jumping up and down to work with me because they don't get it. I have not built what I call a bridge between my offer and what I know is awesome and their needs. That's the secret behind really powerful messaging. Messaging that moves people into action starts with you understanding the most valuable need they have and moving them with little nuggets to come over to your world and say, okay, you can solve that problem for me. And if you
Yeah.
don't have clarity about what they need and how it connects with what you offer, it's very hard to build that bridge. And so they're going to go travel someone else's bridge.
That's right. That's right. I'm going to acknowledge a couple of people before we get ready to share a little bit about what you have coming up. Equip Institute. Hello, hello, hello. Wonderful to see you, lady. We did pop up coffee to cognac conversations. I need you to get off my toes, Melanie.
I love that. I got to screenshot that.
I know that is awesome. Let's see. When your solution meets their most valuable need, people are taking notes. This is what we're
Love
doing.
it.
We
This
got
is
the
what I
notes.
love. Thanks for
Bob's.
sharing your insights as we go, friends. Oh my gosh, this just gives me so much excitement.
Yes, Stephen said that was definitely quotable. That direct line between clarity and cash.
You may see that pop up as a meme on my social media this week.
It might show up. It might show.
Uh,
I have to pull this one last comment up, y'all. We have to get ready to wrap because I could talk to Melanie all night, but I know she has things to do. Sue Ann, thank you for confirming and acknowledging because if it's resonating with you, this lighthouse message that Melanie is sharing with us about lighthouse messaging, it is something that is so important. And I think every bit of what you shared tonight has been just, it's added to the clarity that you and I have talked about. It seems like it's touching other people too, so they're getting it. I know you have a program that's coming up soon, and I want to share that if that's okay. Can I share that right now? Or
I would be honored. Thank you. This
okay,
is how it started for us. I think right here was when I did the master class last time.
yeah, I think it was. And look, I took the program, or I have been a part of Melanie's programs myself, so I can speak to them. And that's one of the reasons why I support and I'm sharing my own personal link as an affiliate for the program. You can either type this lengthy, but not too lengthy, monetize your message link in, or you can scan the QR code that's at the upper right. And also tell us, can you tell us a little bit about what this no cost masterclass is going to be about? Because I
Mm.
know this may address the question that Erica asked earlier about tips on packaging services or pricing value. Will it touch on any of those things or something else?
Yes, and really what the master class does is it takes you through the steps that I guide my clients through that help you create that lighthouse message that puts you on the map and helps you become the go-to top of mind solution in your industry and attract those high value clients. And so what I do is I unpack what the steps are that oftentimes people are missing, and why you can have a great offer but no buyers, or if you're pivoting your brand. This is a huge one, like like why this lighthouse message is one of the first pieces, and how to get to it from really understanding the three most important things about your business: who your clients are, what your unique brand energy is, where your superpowers are, and what is it that they want that's valuable right now. And when you start to put this intersection together, that lighthouse message just unfolds. And so I go into my how you also really ramp up your audience, because your audience is the key. Once you know the lighthouse message, you got to be in front of the right audiences, as we were talking about earlier. And how do you know what the right audience is, right? And so remember, right message, right audience equals right results. You need to have all those pieces in place. And so we're going to talk about how to really accelerate your path to getting in front of those audiences with what I call $1 million visibility streams. This is borrowing other people's audiences very strategically and intentionally in win-win fashion, so that you are shortening your path to getting the right clients in the door. And I've been doing this successfully since the beginning of my career, like we'll say 2003, when I really got my right message in place. And at first it was in-person events, because we didn't have Zoom and things like that back then. But then it was podcasts. Like podcasts, when they emerged, have been a very successful platform for me. But I'm very strategic, and I've tested what works and what doesn't. And now I'm booking my clients on podcasts. We're seeing like how to cut through the noise and get in front of those right audiences. And so that message has got to be correct. And Tanya, you've been very generous about sharing the 100K Authority Accelerator program. If that's something that you're like, I think I might need to explore working with Melanie, this is a great place for us to get to know each other better. You can get a little bit more familiar with my work. And if you're interested, we'll share how to get some pretty juicy options on how to join the program with us when we start again in the fall.
I'm going to do one other thing. I'm going to share your links because I did not have those popped up. So I wanted to make sure to let people know how to get in touch with you. So if you are interested in following Melanie, here's all of her socials. Next time I'll make them pretty.
No worries. Find me on
I,
Facebook. It's my favorite platform. LinkedIn's my second favorite.
there we go. I'm trying to make it
Yeah.
prettier, but hey, this is
Hey,
quick and dirty.
it's all good. It's all good. Just look up Coach Melanie Benson wherever you're looking and you'll find me.
I wish I could find my name everywhere, but I absolutely cannot. It is too common. Look, folks,
Yeah.
I hope that you have enjoyed what you've been hearing tonight from Melanie and from each other because you've been sharing some amazing little nuggets in here too and sharing some of your own stories. So thank you for doing that. If this was helpful to you, please make sure you go and follow Melanie on any of the socials where you like to hang out, and also consider the program because I'm telling you, it has been transformational for me for sure. It has been
Thank
super
you.
helpful for me to get a chance to work with you and to get more clarity around all the things, my messaging, the structure of how I want to put things out into the world, who I attract, what shows I'm on. I mean, we did a lot in 12 weeks.
Yeah, we did. We do a lot. That's why we call it an accelerator. Yeah. Yeah, and I think, I wanna just leave you as you're listening in today. You guys have been so generous with your feedback and sharing and insights and, what's been resonating with you, and here's what I want you to think about. If you have an ideal client who's out there searching for something you're an expert in, something you love to do, something you can help people, are they going to recognize you're the expert they should work with if they go searching for
Mm,
the solution?
mm, mm, mm.
That's that's your motivation right there. To stand out as an authority, as an expert with the lighthouse message that will get you seen, get you recognized, and get you chosen. That's what I want for you. Whether you do it with me or anyone else, find a way to do it and do it now because the world needs what you got. I guarantee they're looking for you.
Look, and on that note, first of all, again, another gold message, gold nugget. I want to thank you, Melanie, for taking the time to hang out with us and to share some of your wisdom. And this is just only the tip of the iceberg.
Mm.
So thank you for just doing all the things that you do in the world and for coming on my show.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation and for hosting. Let's all give Tanya a big round of applause for being the most amazing host on any live stream ever. Like, you are the bomb, lady, rock star here. So big shout out. And if you guys haven't subscribed to her channel, please do so now. She just brings on the most amazing guests and she's an amazing host. So let's cheer her on and give her all kinds of love and support. And hey, you might want to share this episode with a friend that needs to listen to it and give her show some love. So thank you, Tanya. Thanks, guys, for listening in today. And I'm looking forward to connecting with those of you that are ready to do something with your lighthouse message.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to close this out, but if you'll hang for just a second, I'll be right there with you. Okay, y'all. So if you haven't, Melanie told you you should go ahead and like the video, subscribe, follow all those things. Thank you for the kind comments I'm seeing in here. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you, Sue Ann, for already signing up to check it out because Melanie does have some excellent programs. So I know that it's going to benefit any of you who take even just the free masterclass or the no cost masterclass. That will be a benefit to you. I want to make sure that you know that you are special, you are unique. You do have a lighthouse message that needs to be clarified so that you can be out there in the world and attracting the people versus chasing the people that you most want to work with. So everything that we talked about tonight, I'm fully supportive. I support this message, right? If you have questions, if there's anything that you want to put into the comments, even when you're watching the replay, which by the way, you can put hashtag replay and I'll come back and scan to make sure that I catch you and that we acknowledge those. We would be more than happy to pass on those questions to Melanie if there's something I can't answer or point you to a resource for. Thank you, as always, for coming to the show. This is Stream Like a Boss TV, and we will see you next week in the stream. For those of you who are here in the U.S. and you're celebrating Labor Day, I want you to have a safe and blessed holiday. Take care, and we will see you next time.